The song of a lad that is gone.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee and today's video is another video in the Season 6 Outlander series, or the recaps. I have loved this season, which I say in every video, but today's episode, look, it wasn't my favourite episode of the year, but it was pretty good. And the fact that they included some storylines that I didn't think they were going to actually put in was a bonus as well. Now, today's episode, the entire episode, in fact, was really dark and just, I don't know, there was just something about this episode that didn't have me jumping for joy. I mean, obviously the subject matter at the moment in this season is touchy, is sad, is heartbreaking, is everything, but now I'm not saying though that I didn't love this episode, because I did love it. I just don't know if it was my top 5, and it was episode, what, 7? I don't know. What did you think about today's episode? I'd love to know. We're definitely going to jump in and talk all about it. So again, well, not again, I forgot to do it for this episode, but spoiler alert, if you have not yet seen the episode number 7 from season 6 called Sticks and Stones, then please look away, click to another video. I'm sure there'll be something here on the channel that you will enjoy, because this video will be certainly full of spoilers. The previous episode, before Mulva's demise or departure, we heard her tell Jamie and Claire, I think it was, or she told somebody that she had to stand up in front of the entire like Christie fan congregation, or the people that have come with the Christies, and explain, you know, how she's sorry, how she's a sinner, how she's pregnant, and all that sort of jazz. And we did get to see that in the opening scenes. It was really nice to see Jessica Reynolds back playing Mulva. I mean, I think she'll probably, maybe if they do a flashback scene and explain how Mulva has been murdered in the next episode, we should see her again. I love the fact that Jessica Reynolds has been, like, her portrayal of Mulva has been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal, and I've loved it, every second of it. Even in her opening scene in this episode, she was fantastic. But man, is Mulva just, she's different. And I don't want to say that she's evil, because, I mean, there's some circumstances around why she is the way she is. But there's just something about Mulva. You want to hate her, but you can't. I don't know. She's just such a great character, though. As in, just the way she's been portrayed. Love Mulva. Love to hate Mulva is probably the best way to describe her.
I'm standing before you today to tell you that the devil is real, seduced me. My baby will be a bastard in your eyes, but I hope you can see it in your hearts to treat us kindly.
Tom and Alan Christie are now at the garden, and of course Mulva is still laying there. Like, this has all recently happened. What was weird for me personally, or something that I noticed that I thought was weird, if someone had the time to go and get Tom and Alan and bring them back, then wouldn't there have been multiple people standing around the garden? We know now that the Ridge is full of gossips and people that want to see what's happening and want to be involved. You would think that if someone had to leave the garden to go get them, that there would have been multiple people standing around, sort of having their 2 cents worth, but there just wasn't. I found that to be a little bit weird. But Alan, of course, goes into not full attack mode, but he goes into, attack mode against Claire. Basically says, well, hang on, you were here, you have, like, the motive, you would want her dead after everything that's happened. And you're now saying that you were home, but you didn't hear anything. You didn't come out. You didn't hear her knock. Like, what did you hear? What do you know? And of course, Claire is obviously, well, no, I didn't do it. And come on, what's going on? Claire at this point is still in shock, which is completely understandable, how traumatic the event has been for her. But Tom, he's very much, you know, he's Tom. Tom Christie is amazing. The character, the way he's being portrayed, I love. And the fact that he's not attacking them, even though, you know, his daughter has just been murdered. And he's very calm and collected at all times in regards to Jamie and Claire. It's crazy. But, of course, he is standing there and says, well, you are covered in blood. You know, what are we meant to think? Tom then makes the point of talking about where she is going to be buried, and it is a bit of a heated discussion between him and Jamie. And of course, Jamie basically says, well, hang on, this is my land. If she's going to be buried here on my land, she will be certainly buried after her funeral in a consummated grave. Tom's religious beliefs in this aspect, they're just crazy. Like, he won't even let his daughter be buried in a nice, respectful way. It's crazy to think that is what people think. And I mean, if that is your beliefs, that's fine. That's totally. But if it was your daughter, wouldn't you want? I don't know. But that's what happened here in the episode.
You must have seen something or someone.
I was busy in the surgery. You believe me, don't you?
Was it swift? I want to hear it from a healer's lips. How long would it have taken for her to die? Have the angels weeping and demons rejoicing that a sinner has been buried in holy ground? Over my dead body?
No, over mine, Malva and the bairn. To be buried on my ground, at the ridge. It'll be after her funeral, in a consecrated grave.
Throughout the entire episode, Claire's visions of Lionel Brown, that scheming, nasty little man, keep getting worse. And certainly throughout the episode, you can see how much trauma and torment poor Claire is suffering. And it definitely starts at an early point in the episode, and it continues throughout basically the entire episode. She really, really is starting to suffer mentally, which we knew we know that's been happening throughout this season. But this episode really, really highlighted just how bad it is getting for Claire.
Plucked up the courage to kill this one yourself, did you? Well, you best pull yourself together.
Another pair of characters who were sort of highlighted in a negative way in this episode was Mr. and Mrs. Bug. Now, I didn't know if their storyline was going to be thrown in to the TV adaptation of Outlander or what was going to happen with them, but the way they are currently being portraying, in my eyes, is really negative. In the books, they definitely have a more loyal, happy spin to start with, and you sort of have a little bit of more love towards them. But in the TV adaptation, I'm certainly not loving them. I'm not liking them either, which, you know, even though I know more from the books, the TV version, I thought I would be a little bit, I thought I'd like them more. And then as their storyline progressed, things might happen, and I might dislike them. But the way they're just not likable. Mrs. Bug is a gossip, which we knew, but she's a mean gossip. And Mr. Bug has no nice words to say to anybody, including Roger. And there's something about them. The TV version of Mr. and Mrs. Bug. Not a fan. Not a fan.
And he was muttering about wanting to see the dead lass for himself.
No.
You must have hated her guts.
That's enough.
I'd ask you to help, but I didn't want to spoil your lunch.
Claire, throughout the episode, starts to sort of think or lean towards more that she may have actually killed Malva, because she is starting to remember that, you know, she could hear a knocking on the door, and she could hear, you know, like, her mind is playing such crazy tricks on her that she's starting to doubt her own sort of way of life even. You know, she's starting to think that she's this horrible person, that she's a witch, that she's just, you know, she has started this snowball of events to lead to all of her family and her loved ones and her friends to have all these horrible moments in their life, and it is most certainly starting to play havoc on her head. And for Claire, who is such a strong-minded character, it really is confronting to everyone, including myself as just a viewer, that someone with such a great, strong mindset can be brought down and, you know, can suffer such mental anguish as well. It's a good way to adapt into the storyline that even though Claire is such a strong character And, you know, there's certainly times where she has moments where she might not be physically strong enough or something like that, but mentally everybody has a breaking point. And she's certainly at her breaking point, and it's definitely being portrayed throughout this episode.
Not as if you haven't done that before, though, is it? A lying, loveless marriage, leaving when you should have stayed, staying when you should have gone.
Young Ian in this episode is pretty much looking for the Beardsley twins throughout the start of the episode, and then he discovers that, well, Lizzie has sort of been shuffling them away whilst he's been searching for them during the day of everyone sort of panicking about Mulver's murder. Now, I love that they have put this storyline in, and this is one of the storylines that I didn't think was going to make it. But Lizzie and the Beardsley twins are definitely happening, and it's definitely portraying it to, I think it's going to be the full extent of the storyline. But we see young Ian talking with young Lizzie, and we discover, well, not straight away, but we discover that Lizzie's been a bit of a naughty girl in regards to sexual chemistry with people in that era. I love the way that young Ian sort of takes charge during their conversation, though, and is very much, you know, you need to tell me, just tell me the truth and I'll make sure everything's fine. He definitely is becoming a fantastic leader, and you can see, definitely you can see Jamie's leadership skills coming out in young Ian, which is fantastic. I love watching the growth of young Ian throughout this season and this episode. And even though it was only a small, tiny little bit, you definitely can see that presence.
It's only that I don't want them to be in any trouble.
Well, what trouble could they be in? I didn't ken what you're hiding. But you have to tell me the truth.
But of course, with young Ian now finding out that, well, Lizzie has been sleeping with both Beardsley boys and that now she is pregnant and she doesn't know which one of them is the baby's father, Ian has to go and tell Jamie and Claire. Now, Jamie's reaction to the news, my heart melted. It was pure dad protection mode. Jamie, what do you mean? Who has done what? I will kill them, basically. Like, he went full protection mode. And then when he found out what was happening, he was a little bit like, wait, what? And then just every sort of emotion on Jamie's level and throughout that scene with Jamie was amazing. Definitely one of my favorite scenes, and just seeing that protection and loyal sort of characteristics shown, and when they're actually spoken aloud by Jamie, I love it. That's what makes my heart melt.
There's something I must tell you.
Is it yours?
No, Uncle. But...
Then who? Who debauched her? Give me his name. I'll have the two of them in. Find out the truth of it. Christ.
I'll speak to her.
I'll see one of them wed to Lizzie, or both Beardsleys dead at our feet.
Claire and Lizzie then have a fantastic little conversation, and you definitely see Lizzie sort of come into her own as she's talking to Claire about everything that she's been doing with the Beardsleys. You know, Claire is obviously there to make sure that there was no trickery with the twins sort of doing a swap when they weren't meant to, and make sure everything was, you know, as it should be. Lizzie, of course, went into great detail with Claire and said everything was fine. It was all consensual. I love them both. You know, what can we do? This is just how we are. We love each other, and I'm feeling safe and comfortable, and it's the way it's going to be.
One of the lads said that he might spoil his shirt, so I said perhaps better to take it off.
I see. Both of them at once.
I didn't mean to. It was my choice. I swear.
With Mulver's funeral happening, there was only a handful of people there, which I was a little bit shocked at. I thought more people would have come, especially those that were living in the Christie community. I thought they would have been portrayed there, but there was a handful of people there. As they are finishing up the service that Roger has sort of done, Jamie is obviously shooed away from carrying the casket of Mulver, even though there's not quite enough people to carry it. Of course, that's fixed. Young Ian steps in. But then when Claire sees that the baby's coffin is still sitting up the front, she goes to grab it to carry it out. And that is when we see Alan have his breakdown. He is not okay with Claire carrying the baby's coffin out and practically drops his sister's coffin to ensure that Claire is not able to carry the baby. This was an absolutely heartbreaking scene. I mean, seeing the baby coffin was heartbreaking enough, but then to see the whole thing portrayed and played out broke my heart. Alan Christie, I really am not enjoying Alan Christie. I mean, he was probably, of all the Christies, his character is just annoying. He is so annoying. Am I the only one that thinks that he's annoying? I mean, we know he's needy and evil and whatever else he is, but he's actually just also plain annoying. I can't be the only one that thinks that.
You put that down. Oh. You bastards. You took my sister from me.
Jamie finally gets to have a conversation with Lizzie in regards to her being pregnant and not knowing who the father is. Now, during this conversation, he pretty much was saying, you know, you are going to marry one of them. You are definitely going to choose one. I love how Lizzie sort of stood up to Jamie. So at one point he didn't call her a whore by any means, but he did say, you know, you've spread your legs for two people and the community is basically going to think you're a whore. Lizzie straight out, well, I am not a whore. And then when he was sort of like, there was just moments throughout their conversation where I thought, go Lizzie. Like, you are absolutely standing up. You are holding your ground. You're not being this little wiltering flower in the corner that, you know, Jamie's speaking and you're going, okay, no problems, whatever. She really did have a couple of moments there where she was like, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, in a very respectful way, though. So you can definitely see the relationship building here as well, as in, even though Jamie is the boss and Lizzie is sort of like, I don't want to say she's a servant, but she's definitely helping around the house a lot. But that relationship is still family-based, and it's still like, I mean, she obviously feels comfortable enough to stand up to Jamie in a respectful way. I hope that totally makes sense, because when I was watching it, all I kept thinking was, wow, go Lizzie, you are brave. That's awesome.
Which one of them is it to be then, lass?
I didn't want to choose. I love them both.
Doesn't that mean painting his mother a whore?
I'm not a whore.
I didn't say you were. Spreading your legs for two men and wed to neither. Now we are Ben and you can't name its father.
I can name him. His name will be Beardsley.
Jamie then insists that Lizzie and Keziah, who has ultimately drawn the short straw, then become basically getting married. They get handfasted. Jamie conducts this very promptly, very swiftly in the stables. And he then tells Joe, well, you need to just vacate until the child is born, and nobody is to say a word about any of this. Like, let's keep all of this in-house. Do not go spreading any more rumours. The Ridge is already gossip central with everything else that's going on. But I love the way that he's just so, okay, no, we're going to do this, fix this problem. You're handfast, you're done, you are getting married. As soon as the priest arrives, it's done, it's over. Conversation is finished.
Mr. Fraser, we're going to do it here in the stables.
Christ was born in a major. That was good enough for him. Short straw. Weds her. You're handfast. When we find a priest, it'll be properly blessed. Until then, you'll speak to no one of this. No one must know, you understand me?
Speaking of priests, Roger and Bree are having a very deep and meaningful conversation about what their future is going to be like on the Ridge. Now, Roger basically says to Bree that, well, I think my calling is to become a minister and is to, you know, preach and do everything, like the weddings, the funerals, you know, like this is my calling. This is what I'm good at. This is, you know, the sermons, everything. This is how I think it's meant to be. And Bree, of course, after a pretty quick discussion says, well, if that's what you want and that's, you know, if everything is going to flow so nicely and it's what you want, then of course. They very quickly, though, just very quickly, okay, we'll start packing tomorrow to go and get my ordainedness. I don't even know what it's called. But to go and get ordained and get done, we need to pack tomorrow. We got to go. That's a very quick turnaround. Like, that's a 24-hour, let's pack up and go. Which, wow, long trip ahead. Let's go tomorrow. Crazy.
You really want this, don't you?
Just think how amazing it would be if I could baptize our child myself.
Suppose we have some time until the baby comes.
Is that a yes?
Lizzie and the Beardsleys find out very quickly that Roger and Bree are very, very soon going to leave the Ridge for Roger to be ordained. Now, they are so cunning. I loved it. Basically, we know that Lizzie is already handfast to Keziah. Well, the three of them rock up in the middle of the night to Roger and Bree's house and basically ask if Roger can handfast Lizzie and Joe this time around. Now, obviously, Joe and Bree, they don't know anything that's happened because we were keeping that all hush-hush and all under wraps, that Lizzie and Keziah were already handfast. And, of course, after a very funny comment of, well, I must go put my breeches on because I will not be conducting my very first wedding bare-assed, Roger agrees to handfast them, and they are also handfast together. So cunning, so amazing. Absolutely love that the three of them were smart enough to put that little plan in place that, I'm handfast to both, so that's how it is. Like, we're a happy family. I loved it. So cunning, so smart.
Just let me put my britches on. I'm not conducting my first wedding bare-arsed.
Claire's ether moments finally come to a head in regards to Jamie not knowing, and Claire definitely breaks down a little bit, breaks down those walls of I'm strong and tough and don't need to, worry you about my problems, when she tells Jamie that she needs to use ether in order to keep Lionel Brown's gringy little face out of her mind.
No, don't.
We all have a darkness inside us, Sassai.
It's eating away at me. I hear voices. Lionel Brown. And I see him. And he's taunting me.
You would think that that is enough of a sort of barrage for the day for poor Jamie and Claire, but no. Even though poor Claire has sort of broken down some of the walls too about the fact that she's using ether and she hadn't told Jamie, and now she has. We then hear the galloping of horses and the loud noises of horrible men as they come to arrest Claire for Mulver's murder. I mean, what a cliffhanger of an episode, and for there to be only one more left for this season, I'm going to be so interested, and I'm just sitting on the edge of my seat to see how they're going to end this season. Like, at what point in the books are they going to go bang, a cliffhanger? Season 7 will be here in whatever time frame it's going to be here in, and welcome back to Droughtlander.
Mr. Fraser, we've come for your wife. Come to arrest her for the murder of Malver Christie.
Now, if you have been around for a little while and you've watched a few of my videos, you know that I have a amazing new series coming up, and I have not released here on the YouTube channel anyway what that series is. I am ready to tell you guys because it is now all official and locked in. And again though, if you wanted to know earlier, jump over to our Instagram, which is linked above. The next series that I'm going to be filming in just over 2 months, about 9 weeks or something, is we're going to Scotland. Now, when we go to Scotland, we are going to the Highlander 5 gathering convention, and we are doing a road trip around Scotland. Now, I would love to know what you guys would like to see from Scotland, because I am doing road trips and day stops to suit what you guys want to see. Obviously, Outlander filming locations are extremely high on my bucket list to go and see and to go and film. And, if you want to go and see them yourselves, have tips and tricks and everything that you can imagine to come out in this next series. I will obviously be covering the Highlander gathering, and hopefully third time is a charm with attempting to meet Sam Heughan, the man himself. But I will have more information obviously about that series as it gets closer and what is happening, my dates and all that sort of stuff, and everything to come. But if there is something in Scotland that you would like to see covered here on the channel, please drop it down below. Please send me an email, anything you would like, because I am absolutely dedicated to giving you guys the videos and the content that you want to see on this crazy whirlwind trip that is just, it's coming so fast and I'm not organized, and it's crazy to think that we just decided on a drop of a hat to go. And it's just, it's crazy. But I can't thank you guys enough, because there is a amazing community here in the YouTube realm, in the comment section that I've been talking to about the Highlander gathering and the convention that is happening, and I couldn't resist. So thank you so much, because this amazing community just gives me life every day, and talking to you guys is just something that I look forward to every single day. I have definitely waffled on enough for today's video. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm starting to get another cold because the weather here in Australia is insane. 1 minute it is hot, the next minute it is cold. It is insane. But I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you very shortly for another video. Have a great day. Bye.
Oh, that was me.